Dave, two huge games coming up. What's the message to the players heading into a playoff campaign? Does anything change in terms of preparation?
Not in terms of preparation. Everything is as normal. But I suppose the magnitude of the game changes in terms of outcome and consequence. So again, although with it being a two-leg format, you potentially get a second chance beyond the 180, 190 minutes. Your season can either be extended or curtailed, and I suppose that's the enhanced jeopardy that's involved in what the playoffs bring.
On the flip side of that, though, I suppose you could also look at it for the first time this season. Really, promotion is now in your own hands. To win 3 games and you're in League One, and that's surely an opportunity that should be embraced.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of what, you have to embrace the situation that you're in, and again, have the understanding that not even 3 wins. Again, it can be, as we've just got in our last 3 games. To be fair, it can be a draw and 2 wins. It can be 2 draws and a win. Whatever it might be, it's finding a way and of first off progressing through this tie, and then looking at what's ahead of you. But again, first and foremost, focus will be on Saturday. We've then got another week to prepare for a second leg, which is different for, like I say, everyone. In most, I think most people will have been involved at some point in 2-legged games, but they are few and far between in terms of how to sort of deal with them. So that's a little bit unique, but ultimately it's whoever is the better team over the 2 legs that will progress to a Wembley final with a big opportunity in front of them.
And you're certainly going into them as the form team in League Two, just 1 defeat in the last 20. Is there anything to take from that, or does it all just go out the window in the playoffs a little bit?
No, there's something to take from it in terms of what we've done and picking up results in what is a really tough division. But they are individual games. I wouldn't say form goes out the window, because I'd much rather be coming into the game on the back of the run we've had than coming into it on the back of defeats, if you like. So we've just got to keep doing what we've been doing, and hopefully we can, like I say, perform and find a way to progress over the 2 legs.
Is it the best way to go up doing it this way if you do go on and do it?
I suppose it is in terms of one moment, one game, but on the flip side of that, I suppose from a Leighton audience perspective, them getting promoted at Gillingham was one game, in terms of that being the decisive game to get them over the line. It is, like I say, it is unique. The system being introduced has transformed what English football is, and the amount of, I suppose, extended teams that can be involved in it and gets you a second chance. They're brilliant to be involved in. People would say you're a little bit nuts, a little bit crazy, to want to have that jeopardy and that consequence. But like I say, the brilliant high pressure games to be involved in. And from a playing perspective, absolutely the games you want to play in, with the ultimate at the end of it, and getting promoted in a one-off game at Wembley Stadium in front of however many thousand people is something that everyone will look forward to, and everyone will potentially see as a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we hope we give ourselves that chance.
And you've already had just about every experience possible it is to have in the playoffs. I think, is it 10 playoff campaigns you've been involved in? What is the secret to success in them, do you think?
Yeah, like you say, I think we've spoken about this. They expect anything, expect the unexpected. Regardless of what happens, they're normally tight, they're normally tense, they're normally cagey, and whether it's a mistake or a moment of magic brilliance that gets you through, you need lots of things to be on your side. First and foremost, you need to perform well, and you need to control them types of things, but a little bit of luck doesn't go amiss, and decisions potentially in your favour, or an opposition maybe not performing to the levels that they have. It's really about being consistent with the messages you've got. Like I say, we'll do everything that we have over the course of the season, but we're reliant on the players going out there and performing, and hopefully they feel comfortable enough and equipped with the information and the ability to be able to go and progress through the series of games. And I think regardless of what happens, that the four teams are really, really well matched, really, really equally matched. And I think both ties are close and are the toss of a coin in terms of who progresses, which again brings more jeopardy. We've all finished really close to each other in the table. I think 3 points cover the four of us. So all to play for.
One of the biggest differences to the playoffs in non-league, obviously, is that semi-final is played over two legs. I think County's last experience of a two-legged tie was against a certain AFC Fylde side in the FA Trophy. How do you approach it when it's played over two legs, particularly in terms of the first leg?
Yeah, I think, listen, probably similarly, you look back at two-legged games that you've had, and obviously the FA Trophy semi-final was a two-legged affair. Go back to my experience in when it was the Conference North, the playoffs were two legs. So I know I've been involved in a playoff semi-final against Guiseley over two legs that we lost, and then a semi-final against Harrogate over two legs that we won. You've really got to just go and play the game that's in front of you. It was interesting, you're listening to the Champions League game AC Inter last night, and almost commentators speaking after 10-15 minutes went into it, we're 2-0 up, that you can't potentially win the game in the first leg. Again, whether that's the case, I'm not too sure. I think you have to just play the game and not overthink what it is. I suppose you can be a little bit different in terms of how hard you potentially go and chase the game, and Salford will be in a situation where they'll potentially have ideas of what they envisage might be a decent scoreline or a good scoreline to take into the second leg. I think there's that many sort of different connotations you could look for, and again, especially in terms of from a footballer's perspective, just go and play the game. Just go and play the game and see what happens. Be positive in terms of how we go about things. Be on the front foot. Try and win the game in whatever capacity that might be.
And when you look at the stats, I think over 55 games in all competitions this season, you've only lost by more than one goal once at home to Grimsby. That ability to stay in the game should stand you in good stead as well.
Yeah, I think, listen, you look at playoff statistics for the last sort of, I've looked at what the last sort of 7-8 years have held, really, that they are tight affairs. I think there's a really large percentage of the games over those 8 years been decided by a goal. And that's because of, like I say, because of that enhanced jeopardy that's involved. So I'm sure they'll be, like I say, I'm sure they'll be tight. I'm sure they'll be nervy and edgy. And a lot of the time it's how players deal with that and deal with what's in front of them, or the team that can best go and show their best in slightly different circumstances. But we have to just go and play and trust and believe in what we've done over the course of this season, what we do every day out here on the grass, and take that into a game that has, like I say, a big prize at the end of it.
As you say, so little to split the four teams in the playoffs this season. I think at different points throughout Monday, you could have been facing any of the three at different points. It ended up being Salford. What was your initial reaction when you saw that? Again,
it is what it is in terms of, like you say, it could have been anyone, and I don't envisage or see that any game would have been easier or more difficult than the other. I suppose from a supporter perspective, it's been a little bit more difficult because we go to Salford and we only have legally 500 of our supporters in the ground. Whereas if you'd gone to Bradford or Carlisle, you probably could have taken upwards of 3,000. So I'm sure they would have had a choice around how that sits. From, like I say, from a football perspective, I think all the teams are in there on merit and are good sides and well matched. So I'm sure all the games will be close. And I've not looked at what other people think, but I'd suggest the four teams are pretty pretty close on in terms of who's being backed or who are the favourites. I don't see there's an out-and-out favourite in terms of going into it. You've just got to go and play the game, hopefully progress and see what the final brings.
Salford have had an exceptional away record this season, the second best in the league. When you look at the form at home, though, just the 14th best, they have tended to struggle a little bit more at the Peninsula Stadium. Is there an argument that your best chance of progression might be going in and getting a good result away from home on Saturday?
Potentially. Listen, I don't think they've been helped by the pitch in terms of how they wanted to play, especially through the winter months. It was a difficult pitch to play on, which didn't suit them. Hard to judge. From my perspective, I certainly would back us at home, and would back us with 9,500 of our supporters at our backs wanting us to win than going away from home. But you have to do both, and I don't think, well, I certainly know from our perspective, it won't be that we'll set up any differently in terms of how we play away from home as to how we play at home against them. We played against them not too long ago in a home game, and was again a tight game that we started really well. Go in front, should go more in front probably when Paddy hits the post certainly, and we're pegged back by an absolute worldie. And from that point on, it was pretty close. So as I say, I don't think it's relevant too much as to where the games take place. We have to go and perform away from home and at home, and if we do that, then just as Salford are, I'm sure we're confident that we can progress in the tie.
And the pressure of these playoffs can be so intense, but you do have that core group of players that have experienced it before, your Paddies, your Sarses, your Frasers, your Chris Hussies. How much do you lean on those guys at a time like this to help guide the rest of the group through the next few weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to use people's experiences, good and bad experiences, because again, you look at Sars and Hussey, for example. I think Sars scores the winning goal in a playoff final at Wembley, and Hussey's on the other team having lost. So there's just combined things there. Again, my own experiences, Jono, we progressed in a playoff final, National League playoff final, on penalties and what that brought in the euphoria, but Joe Lewis and Connor were on the other side of it. So there's good and bad experiences. The good and bad experience, whatever they are, have to make you better. But we will absolutely tap into what their thoughts are, what their mindset was going into the game. Like I say, they're things that other teams may not have them specific experiences, that we'd be daft not to try and use them to guide some of the others that maybe haven't had that feeling before or that experience to be able to lead them. Any way we can help them or they can help each other, we have to maximise that, and that'll absolutely be the case.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Good luck on Saturday.
Cheers, thank you.